we're already complete, at the heart of our being, unless we're thinking ourselves away. And knowing that allows us to play full out in the game of life. And then we can set these like crazy goals and try to make impossible things happen and, become super successful. Again, and so powerful, like knowing our well-being doesn't depend on that success. I'm gonna express it in a different way, but it connects beautifully to what we said before. I mean, imagine there are two dimensions to life. And one is called living, and the other one is called the game of life. Or you could say, this is the goal line. And I hope you're not finding fault with my words right now. If you don't like the word that I'm going to use now, just ignore it. And you could say, this is the soul line. On the axis of living, or on the soul line, everything's already there. We're already being whole and complete. You could call it the spiritual dimension, right? There's nothing missing at the heart of our being, and the mind works inside out. And so independent of what's going on in our lives, we always have the ability to experience, for example, well-being, happiness and fulfillment. And when we're not experiencing that, it's not because of our circumstances, but it is because of our level of clarity, level of consciousness, you could say, the degree to which we're not seeing that actually everything's already there, right? Even in the most challenging circumstances, you can feel, resilient, you can feel happy, you can feel love, all those beautiful things. So it's a matter of basically moving up the soul line, is basically having more and more clarity that we're being whole and complete. And we're designed to handle everything. On this axis, like the goal line or the game of life, things are not the way they should be, quote unquote. Basically, we're somewhere and we want to get somewhere else, right? We want to find our next job, or make more money, or find a partner, or create a family, or buy a house, or achieve a sales goal, or whatever it is, right? You're somewhere and you're not, and you want to go somewhere else. And so then you're kind of like, you're trying to achieve that goal, or you're playing a game. And those two dimensions, like the crazy bold claim is that these two dimensions are independent. For most people, they're collapsed. For most people, they're, I need to go from here to here in order to feel good, feel safe, feel fulfilled, feel happy. But our, claim is that that's not the way it is. We're already complete, at the heart of our being, unless we're thinking ourselves away. And knowing that allows us to play full out in the game of life. And then we can set these like crazy goals and try to make impossible things happen and, become super successful. Again, and so powerful, like knowing our well-being doesn't depend on that success.
It's actually self-love.
Yeah, it is. It is. It's kind of like self-love. In my words, it's self-love not as a strategy, but basically as a almost like a natural implication of an understanding of like what's not there to love.
We live in a world that tells us we're not.
Yeah.
We grow up in a world that tells us the complete reverse, that tells us, okay, back to my 10 years as a therapist, and people came to me with, in despair and hopelessness and depression, and it just looked to me that, we kind of come into this planet, and we talked about the child learning to walk and climbing back up and being resilient, and we get to school, or we grow up a little bit in our family of origin, and we start to hear messages that say you're acceptable if, and you're not acceptable if something else. And if you do well in your exams, or you don't do well in your exams, or whatever, so we start to get these messages that tell us that you're good when, or you're bad when. And some of that sticks. And we begin to imbibe that as beliefs about ourselves. We make the messages true, and the messages aren't true. And that's where it comes from.